the Premier League eventually gave us the penultimate weekend of fixtures, only nearly 2 weeks late. And we have actually got a game on the Friday before the FA Cup final, even though the Premier League and the FA said that that wasn't going to happen. But in fairness, they've probably done this to benefit a possible Chelsea appearance in the Conference League final. They reached the semi-finals yesterday with a comprehensive win over Legia Warsaw. And the final for that happens to be in between the FA Cup final week and the final week of the Premier League season on the Wednesday. So with no matches being allowed to play on FA Cup final day, if they'd have scheduled Chelsea v Manchester United for the Sunday, that'd have only given them a 3-day break before a possible final. So fair enough, and Sky have picked that game up, Chelsea v Manchester United on Friday. So that'll be another single game day. The 105th match of the season, or fixture day of the season. And then on the Sunday, the early kickoff with TNT is the last game to be played at Goodison Park, Everton against Southampton. So that will be the deadline for cloud transfers that day. Then they've scheduled 2 fixtures for 2:15 on Sky, Aston Villa against Tottenham and West Ham against Nottingham Forest. In fact, a quick look at the news on the Premier League website suggests that the Villa v Spurs game will either be 2:15 or 7 o'clock, depending on which other team is in the FA Cup out of Forest and City by the looks of it. So we should know that by the end of next week, and it won't matter, it'll be played on that day anyway. So then the 3 o'clock kickoffs are Brentford v Fulham, Palace v Wolves and Leicester v Ipswich. And then the Super Sunday game is Arsenal v Newcastle. As previously suggested, Manchester City against Bournemouth is set for 7 o'clock. Again, those last 2 are on Sky. And then the Monday night game is Brighton against Liverpool. So those Liverpool fans that wanted a nice weekend away in Brighton now have to get a train down on Monday instead, and probably won't be able to get one back. And thinking back to the TNT game, Everton v Southampton, I very much expect there won't be a train available for Southampton to get up there that early either. But this TV is king, as we know. So where does that leave us for the layout all told? So this is where we are. Still some shifting around of those games at the end in game week 40. So at the minute we have single game day to come on Monday this week, which is Spurs against Nottingham Forest. On Tuesday, which is Manchester City against Aston Villa. On Wednesday is Arsenal against Crystal Palace. Then next Wednesday, we have Nottingham Forest against Brentford. Then the Friday is Manchester City against Wolves. Then on the Monday, it's Forest again, and they visit Crystal Palace. And then the ones we've just discussed, the Friday game, Chelsea against Manchester United, and the Monday game is Brighton against Liverpool. So where does that leave us for this weekend, the immediate future? So after tomorrow, we can see there's a fair amount of teams with a 3-1 over Crystal Palace. And that Crystal Palace game, their one, is the visit to Arsenal on Wednesday upcoming. And I think we can all suggest it'll be a fairly changed side for Palace, because that only happens 3 days before their FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Aston Villa. So the teams that have a 3-1 are Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham, Ipswich, Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham and Wolves. So if you don't have coverage for Monday, then there's an option there to go in on Forest or Tottenham maybe. The Palace players that are most highly owned are Henderson, Munoz, Eze and Mateta. Mateta, the lowest of those, at about 10%. So it could be an opportunity there to move in somebody for a single game day. If you go for Forest, you've got 3 single game days coming up. So maybe someone like Mateta to Chris Wood be popular. You could go Henderson to Sells, could be popular. In defence, any of their defenders are good, and they're cheaper than Munoz as well. Obviously, Munoz has still got that attacking threat. So you could go back maybe on Monday the 5th of May, which is they'll have their 4 games left, would then be Forest, Tottenham, Wolves, and the last day at Liverpool. So yeah, food for thought there. Let's have a look at the match centres for the last game week then. So starting off with the early kickoff last Saturday, Manchester City 5, Crystal Palace 2. Goal scorers were De Bruyne, Marmoush, Kovacic, McAtee and O'Reilly. For Palace was Eze and Richards. And then the tier 3 points for City, Gvardiol, Diaz and Nico Gonzalez with the passes, and Marmoush with the shots. Nobody for Palace. Brighton 2, Leicester 2. Goal scorers were João Pedro with 2 penalties for Brighton, and Maviadidi and Okoli for Leicester. Tier 3s for Balabar and Dunk with the passes, and Hermanson with the saves. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1, last minute winner for Decore. Tier 3s for Pickford with the saves and Undai with the shots. Southampton 0, Aston Villa 3. Goal scorers were Watkins, Marlon and McGinn. Tier 3s for Ramsdale with the saves and 2 penalty saves for a 12-pointer altogether, having let in 3 goals. Stevens with 10 tackles. For Aston Villa, Onana with the tackles, Tielemans with the passes, and Asensio with the shots. Arsenal 1, Brentford 1. Goal scorers were Partey and Wissa, and no tier 3s at all for the entire game. Chelsea 2, Ipswich 2. Goal scorers were Twanzebe own goal and Sancho for Chelsea, Enciso and Johnson for Ipswich. Tier 3s for Colwell with the passes and Palmer with the saves. Ipswich is Palmer, not Cole. Liverpool 2, West Ham 1. Goal scorers for Liverpool were Diaz and Van Dijk. For West Ham it was a Robertson own goal, and no tier 3s in that game either. Wolves 4, Tottenham 2. Goal scorers for Wolves were 8 Nori, a Spence own goal, Strand Larsen and Cunha. For Tottenham, Tell and Richarlison. The only tier 3s was Ben Davis with 85 passes for a tier 3. Newcastle 4, Manchester United 1. Goal scorers for Newcastle were Tonale, Harvey Barnes with a brace, Bruno Guimaraes, and for Manchester United it was Garnacho, and no tier 3s in that game either. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0 from Monday night. Goal scorers were Semenyo right at the start of the game, and the only tier 3s was Kepa with 7 passes for a tier 3, a 12-pointer altogether. And then in midweek, on Wednesday, we had Newcastle 5, Crystal Palace 0. Goal scorers for Newcastle were Murphy, a Gahey own goal, Harvey Barnes again, Fabian Schär and Alexander Isak. Tier 3s, Schär with the passes, 19-pointer altogether. Well done, anybody heard him? And Isak with the shots. And for Crystal Palace, we had Munoz with the tackles. Let's have a look at the team then. So I'll have to do this in 2 parts because obviously the game week changes Monday to Tuesday in Cloud. Phase 2 is going to be back to how we used to know with Sky, Friday to Thursday. So Matt Sells in goal, 4 points. Robinson, he was a captain. Don't even know which day that was. A single game day? Oh yes, against Bournemouth on Monday. So 2 points there. Saliba 4, Munoz 1, Palmer 5, Cliver a no-show for 0, Bowen 3, Murphy, who was brought in for Foden, with 5, and then a few points up front. Salah 5, just the assist. Marmoush goal and shots on Saturday for captain, and Isak with captaincy for 12. And then if I just move this forward to 32. So points for Wednesday night really. So Murphy with 12 doubled to 24, and Isak with 10. So 34 for the week, plus Munoz with 3. So 37 so far this week. And let's have a look at the points. Let's do the leaderboard first. So Mark McFadden still at the top, 3072, but the gap is closed. There's only 3 points clear of JRZ now with 3069. Shane White 10 behind JRZ with 3059. Then Neil Fleeson, Mark Williamson, Mark Hawes, Julian Wardle, Adrian Gage, Mark Berry and Colin McLennan rounding out the top 10. So 60 points between first and 10th, but only 15 points between first and 5th. So it looks like it's going to be exciting running. So let's have a look at some points. So top of the point scorers, Mo Salah, no surprise, 305. Haaland has overtaken, well, he's not overtaken Isak, but Isak hasn't quite overhauled Erling Haaland yet. So they're 218, 215. Cole Palmer, 207. Virgil van Dijk, 200. Then we have Bruno Fernandes, Brian Mbeumo, who might be popular a week on Wednesday when Forest host Brentford, and Brentford have a nice run into the season of decent fixtures. Chris Wood, again, could be popular as well. Matt Sells, Daniel Munoz, Josko Gvardiol, William Saliba, Ollie Watkins, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's rumoured to be back on the bench on Sunday for Liverpool's visit to Leicester. Matheus Cunha, back on the bench and scoring last week. Would he be back in the side this week? Johan Wissa, Justin Kluivert, wonder if he'll ever get back fit. Don't seem to hear very good stuff from Iraola. He says he's a possible and hasn't made, I think, the last 3 games. Jordan Pickford, Nikola Milenkovic and Jarrod Bowen there rounding out the top 20. And if we have a look at the top bonus points, so Virgil van Dijk out in front, 66. Mateo Kovacic, 64. Bruno Fernandes, 62. And then we have Saliba, Gvardiol, Colwill, Munoz, Partey, Van Heck, Caicedo, Flecken, Tielemans, Salah, Diaz, Haaland, all in the 50s. Then the top of the 40s, we have Ramsdale, Mazraoui, Semenyo, Gay and Bassi. And we'll have a look at some ownerships. So Cole Palmer in 7 out of 10 sides. Isak 2/3. Mo Salah just over 3/5. Then Munoz is next best at under 50, 45%. Saliba 38. Henderson 34. Bruno Fernandes 33. Eze 32. Gvardiol 30 alongside Bowen and Haaland. Marmoush 23. Jacob Murphy, a lot of buys this week I think. 20%. Bruno G 17. Saka 17. Kluivert 17. Gabriel 16. Robinson 16. Van Dijk 16. And Mbeumo just knocking it up towards 16. Let's have a look at the fixtures for the upcoming week then. No early kick-off on Saturday, so you get to see the lineups for all 4 3 o'clock games, Brentford v Brighton, Palace v Bournemouth, Everton v Manchester City and West Ham v Southampton. And then the evening kickoff should be a good game, Villa against Newcastle this week. Villa 2 games upcoming in the week against potential Champions League rivals after their heartbreaking victory and defeat on aggregate against PSG on Tuesday. I'm sure that the fans and the players and the management alike will want more of the same. So how do we think these games are going to go? Brentford against Brighton, 2 front foot teams. Nothing really to play for either of them. I think it might be quite an exciting game. I'm going to go for a 2-2. Palace against Bournemouth. Bournemouth on the back of a 1-0 win. Palace on the back of 2 5-goal shellackings in the week. They've got an upcoming game on Wednesday as well, and an FA Cup semi-final to look forward to a week tomorrow. I think Bournemouth will probably catch them on the hop. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Bournemouth. Everton against Manchester City. Everton tightened up. Manchester City have been improving. Will that continue? I have a feeling it might. I think City, they know they need the point still. I know they've got a game on Tuesday, but they've got a reasonably fit squad now. Kevin De Bruyne was back, doing well. I think City will win. I think Everton will score, though. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win. West Ham against Southampton. 2 fairly poor sides. Well, 1 poor side and 1 terrible side. Southampton still looking for points to beat Derby's record low points total. I don't think they're going to get any tomorrow. I think they might when they play Leicester towards the end of the season. I'm going to go for a close win, 2-0 for West Ham. And then Villa against Newcastle. Newcastle in great form ever since they won the League Cup, really. Villa, they need to pick themselves up after Tuesday. They've got another game coming up the following Tuesday, and then they play the FA Cup semi-final a week tomorrow. Going to be goals in this. I think Newcastle might have enough. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win. Then the games on Sunday. First of the Super Sunday games on TV is Ipswich against Arsenal. Difficult to know exactly what side Arsenal are going to put out. They had a great win both legs against Real Madrid in the Champions League this week. I think they'll probably have enough for Ipswich, but again, I think Ipswich might score, so I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win. Leicester against Liverpool is the Super Sunday game, 4:30 kickoff. Liverpool, I think, will win. I think they'll win quite handily. I'm going to go for a 3-0 away win. And if Arsenal haven't won against Ipswich, that could be the game that gives Liverpool the league. I think it does need Ipswich to beat Arsenal to mathematically do it. And then the 2 games that are moved to Sunday for the European sides. Manchester United had that thrilling win, 3 goals in the second half of extra time to reach the Europa League semi-finals. They host Wolves. Surely they're going to have a bit of momentum on the back of that. And Wolves have improved, one of the form sides now, since we've reached spring. I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Then Fulham against Chelsea, the West London derby. Chelsea beat Legia Warsaw to reach the Conference League semi-finals. Excuse me. Visiting Fulham, who were beaten at Bournemouth on Monday. Chelsea haven't done too well following European fixtures, really. Changed sides all over the place. They need the points, though, to try and get the Champions League for next year. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Then the first of 3 consecutive nights on the TV this week. Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. Tottenham also qualified for Europa League semi-finals, and they'll be playing Bodo Glimt, the first Norwegian side ever to reach any UEFA Cup semi-final, any UEFA competition semi-final. Tottenham probably be a change side. Forest still going for Champions League as well. Will they won't want to slip up 2 weeks on the trot. I think it might be tight. I'm going to go for a 0-0. Probably not something you'd see predicted very often for Tottenham, but maybe it will. Manchester City against Aston Villa on Tuesday. I'm going to go for City to win 2-1. This might be the week that the wheels come off for Villa. And then on Wednesday, last match of the game week, Arsenal against Crystal Palace. I think it'll be two fully changed sides. Palace ahead of the FA Cup semi-final 3 days later. Arsenal don't play PSG until the following Tuesday, so they've got a 6-day wait, so there might be more of their players that get some game time. I think Arsenal to win and keep a clean sheet at 2-0. And there we have it, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. Enjoy your Easter weekend and the football, well, it's Championship and all EFL today. Loads of Prem on Saturday and Sunday, and then we finish off on Bank Holiday Monday with Monday Night Football. And we'll be back next Friday to preview the following weekend. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please leave the video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, please do. If you want to use the transfer planners that we've showcased throughout the show, you'll find those over on patreon.com/Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show. And we'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody. Bye for now.